Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Butterscotch Rewatch. I am Katie, the Gen X mother.
Ireland, the Gen Z daughter.
And today we're going to be talking about the movie Toy Soldiers, which was made in 1991. It does star Sean Astin, Will Wheaton, and Louis Gossett Jr. And it was written by Daniel Petrie Jr. and David Koepp. It is based on the novel by William P. Kennedy of the same name, so Toy Soldiers. And it was also directed by Daniel Petrie Jr. So let's go ahead and get into this interesting movie.
Okay, so we start off pretty intense. So we are shown that we are starting in Colombia, and the thing that we kind of pan into is a courthouse, but it's not just like a regular in effect courthouse. There are actually hostages being held, like the judge is being held captive by these terrorists. And they're sprawled out everywhere. They're armed, they're dangerous, clearly. And then they're even holding hostages on like the ledge where they're like kind of towering over, and obviously it's a far fall. And inside, you can kind of tell that he's like the head, kind of like the organizer, I feel. And the whole reason that they are doing these things is because his father is in prison, or he's being sent to prison in America. And he is basically talking to the judge about his father, saying like, well, you just tell me where he is and then this will all go away. And he just wants his father back. And obviously the judge is not having it. He's like, it's America's problem. Like, he's already flown off to America, and the head organizer just does not believe him. And with that, he did not like the answer that the judge had, so he had one of his, goons or whatever push a lady out of the window, and she does fall to her death. And then you can, like, it's a very serious start to the movie. Like, it's just something that you're looking at, and then they kind of pan away so you don't see the impact, and then they pan back, and they're not, holding anything back. Like, you can see the blood and like her landing, and it's kind of crazy. And then we lead to them kind of all jumping onto the helicopter, and they're bringing the judge with them. And by them, I mean the organization and the terrorists. They're all on like the helicopters and stuff to get out of there. And the judge is not having it. He's trying to fight back a little bit. And when he does that, the leader just kind of throws him off the edge, and he's just thrown out the helicopter. And then they all just go their own way.
We cut to the Regis School for Boys, and we're watching the soccer team running past. It's guarded by a security guard. They're running past the security guard. There's a couple of them. The one that's heading the run grabs the nightstick from the security officer's like, and as the security officer runs to go get his nightstick, we see three other boys with a soccer bag in front of the sign, and they get the spray paint out and they cross out Regis, and then they put rejects, because that's what they like to call the school, is the reject school. It's a boys prep school. It's mixed with really rich boys that have been thrown out of multiple boarding schools. There are kids that do have scholarships as well, so you kind of got a mix of like the rich and the poor, and obviously you can tell who the rich kids are, because they're the a-holes that are causing all the problems. So as the three boys run towards the school after they're done spray painting, the security guard tells them that the dean wants to see them in their room. So the three boys head to their room, and there are some U.S. Marshals in there, and they're here to collect one of their roommates. He just goes by Donahue, which is his last name, but in the credits, he's credited as Phil Donahue, which they said Phil. Yeah, they said Phil, meaning like the talk show host Phil Donahue. Like, they must just call him that because of that. And his dad is a federal judge in the Enrique Kelly case. So Enrique Kelly is the father of the Colombian terrorist, the guy that was in Colombia. His name is Luis Kelly. He was the one that was trying to get his father released before he went to America. But of course, he made it to America before he took over the courthouse. And so they're like, he's gonna come after all of you. Like, we want to make sure you guys are safe. So he tells Donahue that he has to immediately pack up his stuff. They got to put him in his safe house. The boys help him pack up. Well, while he's telling him this, the boys leave. The two boys, so it's Will Wheaton and Sean Astin, are the other two roommates. So they leave, of course, and they're talking all their, your dad's a federal judge, blah blah blah. It's this guy. And of course they have to like eavesdrop on what's going on. So they have like Sean Astin's character, who's Billy. He's like he's like squatting, and then Will Wheaton's character like stands on his like thighs, and like there's a window above the door, and they're like, you could just see his little head like sticking up. Yes, and this is a young Will Wheaton. He's so adorable. It's like a couple of years after Stand By Me. He's so cute. And when the dean, who is Louis Gossett Jr., says, "Well, boys, you might as well come on in and have help your friend pack," and he opens it up, and they're in their like position with and they get down, and then you see him leaving. They put the bags in the car, and you see him take off, and they're kind of bummed. They come back to their room, it's just the two of them, and they're just really bummed that their friend is leaving.
Yeah, they have a nice little group.
They do. And so later that night, the boys, I feel like these boys are always in trouble, and they're always coming up with things to do. So these are definitely the rejects of the school. We see Billy's character, who's Sean Astin. He bangs on the what are they? The radiator? Is that what it is? What they're called? The old school. Yeah, the old school radiator. He knocks on it, and then he hears like the same knock from below, and that's like their signal. And they all sneak into the kitchen. They move some things around in the kitchen, and the kitchen has like a door that opens up, and it has stairs that go down into they go through like a tunnel and like a brick wall that has an opening, and it's like a basement, but there's nothing above it. It's such an old building, and this is where they kind of have their little hangout. So they have their little hangout down here, and they decide to kind of have some fun.
Yeah. And by having some fun, they're having some interesting things happening, and of course you left me with this scene. So not only do I have to talk about the terrorists and the lady getting dumped out, but I'm also talking about
I'm happy to talk about it if you want me to.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, so they're all, and you can just tell that this is like a normalized thing, that they're always like trying to sneak out, get in trouble, because like even in the beginning of the movie, like the dean came up to Sean Astin's character and was like, "Did you sneak out yesterday? Like, you're not, whatever." And he's like, "Oh, no, of course not." Like, you can tell that the dean is, like, definitely smelling what he's stepping in. Like, he knows that this kid is trouble. And so the whole group of all 5 of them are in the basement, and they're drinking exactly what looks like mouthwash, but it's actually vodka, peppermint schnapps, and then creme de menthe to give it that green color. It keeps that mouthwash, but apparently it's super, super strong, because when the boys take a sip, and even later on we'll see like other characters take a sip too, everybody's reaction is like, whew, like it's hitting ya.
They're like, "It's mouthwash. It's not." He's like, "Nope, I swear to God, it is vodka." Yes, it's vodka. And then he tells the other guys that he sold it for $85 a bottle to like 8 other kids. So they're like, "Sweet, yes." So he gets money.
So they sold it around to other boys in the dorm as well. And of course, in amazing, not awkward at all fashion, what do these boys want to do on whatever this is, a Friday night or whatever? They're going to call a hookup line. I don't even know, like what is it called? Like, I don't even know, like a call for a good time kind of situation. So Billy is hooking up like a phone and like a speaker that's attached to it, so that him and all of his boys can listen to a sex line that they're calling on. And the lady that they run into on this his name is Jennifer, and she is a typical, like, she's explaining like, "Oh, I'm blonde, I'm tall, I'm skinny, I'm wearing black lace underwear," like all of this craziness, and all the boys are just like, "Oh my God." Like, I don't know how it's not awkward for these 5 like kids. Well, I guess they're not kids, they're like 17, 16,
yeah, they're high school age.
But like, how is it not awkward for them to be like talking to this lady like this and like doing all of that? But when she asks like, "Oh, well, what do you look like?" Sean Astin's character is basically going around pointing out characteristics from every single person and just kind of meshes them all together. And as they're kind of talking to her, Billy is the only one that has any kind of encouragement with this. Like, he's the only one that's talking, so Sean Astin's character. But all the other boys are like, hee 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 hee, like, this is so fun.
They're like, ask her this, ask her this.
Yes, exactly. And of course, to make it even more awkward, not only is this call happening in the basement, but we kind of cut back to the dean in his office, and he answers the phone and dials, and he can dial onto that call to hear whatever Jennifer is saying. So he is pissed.
Yes. When he picks up the line, all he hears is like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I have my lace panties. Should I keep them on or take them off? What should I
Yeah.
do? And they're like,
So
they see,
uncomfortable.
of course, the dean is like, who's Louis Gossett Jr. is like, he knows exactly who it is. He knows
And where
exactly.
they
Yes.
are.
Yeah. He actually goes to where all the phone lines are hooked up, and it gives you a map of where each of the phone lines is. And he sees that it's in the basement thing. So he ends
See,
up
that's
like,
cool. I didn't even catch that.
yeah, so he looks and he's like, aha, I know exactly who it is. And he
Mhm.
goes down and they hear him coming. So they're like, hide, 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 hide. So everybody hides, and except for Billy, who's trying to take his cool Radio Shack phone that he
Mhm.
hooked up, which I think is very cool, to the wires of the other phone line. And then he had like a speaker so they could all hear it. So he's trying to get all that, down, but he gets
Mhm.
caught. He's like, the dean is like, hey, are you the only one down here? And he's like, yes, sir, I am. And he's like, oh, this is pretty clever. He was pretty impressed about the phone thing, I think, that he was able to do
Mhm.
that. He goes, now break it. So he makes poor Billy take it down, and he has to he's like, no, break it, stomp on it, pretend it's my face, So he's stomping on this and everything, and he breaks it, and he's like, oh, is anybody else down here with you? And he's like, no, just me, sir. And he goes, what's this? Points at the mouthwash. He goes, it's mouthwash. And he's like, you're telling me that you came down to this basement by yourself to drink mouthwash?
Mhm.
No, sir.
Gotta fight the plaque.
Yeah. And he goes, yeah. He's like, I'm fighting plaques and gingivitis. He's like, I'm trying to
Mhm.
keep it nice. And of course he's like, okay, whatever. And then we hear a little noise. One of the guys farts. And the dean knows exactly who it is. Which is great because he can recognize his fart. And it's the one character, Keith Coogan's character, who they call Snuffy. His real name is Jonathan in the movie, but they call him Snuffy.
Yeah.
And he's like, Mr. Bradbury, come on out. And then he's like, Mr. Trotta, who's it's Joey Trotta is Will Wheaton's character. And then he's like, everybody else, calling them all Mr. Giles, you can come out. And so these are our five main characters. Our five main characters are Billy, Joey. Billy is Sean Astin. Joey is Will Wheaton. Jonathan Snuffy Bradbury is Keith Coogan. And then there's Hank and Ricardo. So those are our five main, because Donahue was the sixth one, but he, of course, had to go because of the U.S. Marshal thing. Yeah, so the dean tells the boys, go ahead and see me in my office in the morning. And he says, not you, Billy, not you. And he tells him that he's like, are you trying? Do you even try not to get in trouble, or are you purposely getting in trouble? He's like, just expel me. It's fine. Go do it. Do it now. Do it now. He just doesn't care. He could care less. This is his fourth school he's been to. He's been expelled from 3. So he's just basically given the attitude and yeah, go ahead. Just do it. And he goes, no, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep you here until you graduate, which may be many, many years. And I'm also going to put you on pots and pans duty for a month. And he's like, awesome. So great. Which is probably the worst thing you can give anybody. These pots and pans are so friggin' nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the food that they serve them is literally they'll show something later where it's like he compares it to dog vomit, but it literally looks like sludge in the pots and pans. It's actually disgusting.
So they get back to their room, and Billy's pissed because he got caught, he got punished. He's like, we have to retaliate. Joey's like, oh, come on, bro. I just want to get some sleep.
Yeah, he's like, I want to go to bed and dream about Jennifer.
So what did they do?
Yeah. So the reason that they're doing this is because the dean made Billy walk around and point out every single person that bought the mouthwash,
yes.
Right? So he's like, you are making me a fool of me in front of my friends. So he's pissed. He's asking Joey, we have to do something, but it has to be something different than whatever we've done before. We can't cherry bomb the bathrooms. We're not using the fire hose, because of course that's the first thing that Joey says. He's like, the fire hose, and then Billy's like, no, that's been done before. They're trying to think outside of the box here. We're jumping forward to the next morning, and we just see a bunch of people standing in the quad, and the dean's kind of getting called hey buddy, you gotta see this. And it is the headmaster's office, perfectly set up, and it's so funny because the headmaster is getting a kick out of it. Even when the dean comes up to him, the headmaster's like, try not to laugh. This is exactly how I left it. Literally when I left it yesterday. This is uncanny and insane how they did this. but very clever. Like, you can tell that it's funny to them, but
Right.
also, like, something has to be
They
done.
don't want to give them the satisfaction of like, this is pretty genius.
Exactly. And the headmaster's like, oh, any idea of who you think it could be? And the dean's like, I have a very good idea of who this could be. So, of course, he's like, you? Out of the crowd. And, of course, it's Billy, and he's got, like, his freaking banana for some reason. I don't know. He's acting nonchalant. And then he's like, okay, not just you, but also you, basically. All 5 of them, right?
Yep, the 5 boys.
And, Billy's kind of being a jerk. Like, initially, like, he throws the banana in the headmaster's garbage, and the dean is not having that. He's like, oh, absolutely not. Get your banana back. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I think Billy, I don't want to say, like, respects the dean enough, but I think that, like, he tells that the dean cares about him a little bit, at least, so he does take it out of the garbage, and the dean basically just tells him, okay, well, that's great that you did all this, except for now you have to put every single thing back exactly where you left. So that was their punishment.
Yeah, that's their job, is to go put everything back into the headmaster's office from the quad back into how they got it out there. We'll only know later on.
Right.
And then, so in the meantime, as this is happening, this funny headmaster thing, it cuts to a really quick scene where we see some trucks cross the border to the US, and there's 2 US border agents, and they follow the trucks, and literally they open the thing, and it's there's guys in there, but they just think that they're crossing the border from Mexico, and they're not. They're the terrorists. So there's one guy, his name is Jack. So there's one white guy in this Colombian terrorist thing. This guy, I don't know. This guy's look, for some reason, I just don't like him at all.
He's got the professional glasses on, like from Leon the Professional. Like, those are the glasses that they remind me of, except for it's like, I don't know.
Just something about his face. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's good for the, like, gotta hate this guy, but I just feel like he's, like, too nerdy for this group. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
he's like,
I mean, he's definitely like the brains guy, so I guess it makes sense, but
but
I don't even know where they got this guy.
But I mean, as we saw in the beginning, these terrorists are relentless. So they shoot the 2 guards, or the 2 US Border Patrol guys, and they put them in the truck, and they blow it up with a grenade launcher. There is these guys are not here to play. They're not here for any witnesses. They are just very brutal. So, we cut to that, and then we go back to the school, and this is when we see the dean is leaving the school. He's going to talk to the sheriff because somebody spray painted the sheriff's car rejects. It just happens to be the same color spray paint as the reject school sign. I don't know how that happened. Who could that be? I mean, and so he's leaving. He waves to the guard, the security guy, and he's like, bye. And so he leaves. And not too much longer than that, we see a cleaner's,
like a big van.
Yeah, big van, like a come up to the security guy, and it's the Jack guy, the one white guy. I just keep calling him the white dude.
And your friend Steve.
Yes, and your friend Steve. So Jack shows his gun, and he says, "We don't want to hurt anybody." And of course, the poor security guard, who's probably never had to shoot his gun in his entire life except for at the range, tries to pull out his gun, and he just shoots the crap out of him.
Yeah, and these guys have machine guns and heavy artillery, where like the security guard has like a little handgun, like a 5.7 or something like that.
Yeah. So he's shot. I feel bad for him. And then they pull up to the school. The kids don't know anything. It's daytime, so the kids, I believe, are in eating lunch. Yeah, eating lunchtime, and we see all the trucks come in, and they're setting all this stuff up. There's wires everywhere and everything like that. And then we see Jack come in with a machine gun inside the cafeteria and shoots the ceiling 47 times, 40,000 times, and is like, okay, everybody pay attention. That didn't, the gun didn't make them want to look and pay attention. They're all under the tables.
Yeah.
And they tell the kids to basically sit down in a row along the wall, and they have a picture, and they're looking at each kid with the picture no, and they get to Billy and his group of friends, and he looks and he's like, they're looking for Donahue. That's who they're looking for. They're looking for Phil. And they're like, oof, So they're looking for Phil. He's not there because he was taken away by the U.S. Marshals. So Luis is the head guy of the terrorist group. He is fucking pissed. He's in the headmaster's office, and he's just like, we paid so much money for this information, and it was false. It was too late, And Jack's like trying to calm him down, like, okay, well, we were on the road, we were unreachable, we were too busy shooting and murdering people.
Right.
He goes, wait, I have some files of other kids that may, be just as good as
old value.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of rich kids we have. He comes out with the files, and then he starts reading the files.
Yeah. So as they go out and start and they're still lined up, like these boys are, of course, are fearful because, they have all these guns and all this craziness. So Luis and Jack are kind of going around, and Luis is Jack's giving him the folders, and then Luis is reading it off. So the first one that they call up is Jonathan Bradbury, or what's his nickname? Snuffy.
I think that was chewing tobacco back in the day.
I was gonna say, I don't know, but I feel bad for him because Kid is just like, he's definitely like that kid that's always sick. Like, he has asthma, and like he brings his little inhaler around. Like, he just seems like he would be allergic to literally like grass and the sun. So it's just like, that's kind of where we're at. But he kind of reminds me of what's his name from the Benchwarmers, like Howie or whatever. He's like in the closet. He's like, no, inside safer.
Yes.
But Luis is going, okay, Jonathan Bradbury, your father is the chairman of a big bank in New York City, vice chair of the Republican Party. And basically all that he says is, yes, sir. Yep. And then he keeps going on further. So now Luis is on to Henry Giles III. Your father is the representative, Henry Giles Jr. He's the chairman of Armed Services Committee. And Henry is just like, yes, sir. Okay, and then they move on. And then they go to Joseph Trotta. And he says, you are the son of Albert Trotta of New York. The Albert Trotta.
Yep.
And Joey is like not having it. You can tell that there is disdain towards his father. And the comment that Luis makes next, where he says, are you not proud of your father? Joey basically like screams no in his face. Like, he's like, no. Hell no. Like, I am not proud of him.
And when he's looking, like, where everybody else was kind of looking down, not really looking at Luis, because he's scary. I mean, I'd be like, you've got machine guns and explosives everywhere.
Right.
Joey literally does like an up and down. He's like, no, or not. Yes, or whatever. He was not afraid of him. And you know what? Luis is not going to mess with him for now because he knows who his dad is.
Yeah.
Somebody don't want to mess. Yes, that we'll get into that later. Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off course.
No, but it's so true. Like, you can just tell that he does not give a shit. Like, he is whatever. And then the last one that they go through, Ricardo Montoya. His father is a senior partner at a law firm. And then, of course, Luis has to pull in are you Mexican? And then he said, Mexican American, sir. And then Luis says, do you speak Spanish? And the first instinct is, not really. And when he does that, Luis basically tells Jack, okay, someone just put a bullet in him.
In
Spanish.
Spanish.
He says it in Spanish. And Ricardo is like, no, wait. I speak Spanish. I speak a little bit of Spanish, basically. And Luis is just like, okay. And then hits him in the knee instead. And then, of course, Ricardo's like laying on the ground and he's wincing. And obviously he hurt himself, or Luis hurt him. And Billy is like pissed off. Like, he is like somebody where he's like, hold me back. Like, because Billy's going straight at him. He's like, hey, don't do that. Like, why are we doing this? Why are you doing that? Don't do that to him. And Luis is basically like, well, just tell your boy that he's lucky I didn't put a bullet in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he asks Billy, like, oh, what's your name? And he says, William Tepper. And he's like, William, let me see. He goes, what does your father do? And he goes, he's a contractor. And he looks at his file and he's like, your dad owns the third largest construction company in the entire world. And he goes, yeah, he's a contractor. And then Luis looks at him and he grabs him by like the ear and he's like, don't fuck with me. Like, don't try me. Like, I'm not the dean.
Yeah, don't play me for a fool.
Yeah, I would not be fucking with this guy for sure. So Luis does feel like, okay, you're right, Jack, this will work. We've got plenty of high profile students. We can definitely use them. Yeah, so he's fine with what he's got.
Yeah, he wants, well, first of all, ransom money, right? So, like, people that can provide him with money, but also people with power that can release his
Mhm.
dad.
Yeah, definitely the people with power. And he's got all of these high profile children from very
Mhm.
powerful people. So, you know how the FBI is always like, we don't negotiate with terrorists ever. It doesn't matter. Well, they might rethink that knowing that these kids are like, the dad's this, this dad's this dad does
Right.
this dad's the head of the New Jersey Mafia, this dad is this, you might want to rethink that. Yeah, so after that they cut back to the dean with the sheriff, and as they're fighting over the sheriff's car, he's like, I want those boys expelled, blah 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 blah. And he opens his trunk and he goes, interesting, your uncle owns a liquor store, the only liquor store around here. And he goes, I have 8 bottles. And the guy's like, it's mouthwash. He's like, no, it's 100 proof vodka. Where could they have gotten that from? And he's like, no, don't you start. And he goes, so we're going to forget about the little reject spray painting, and I'm going to forget about the alcohol that your uncle sold to underage children.
Right.
So they're like, okay. And then all of a sudden one of the like deputies runs, and he's like, Sheriff, there's been a shooting at the Regis School. So of course the sheriff's like, come with me to the dean, and they race over there. So that's where they head over. Obviously, we know why there were shots.
Yeah. And so the dean heads over with the sheriff, and basically the dean is like, okay, we should not be dealing with this, like, small town policeman stuff. Like, we need to call the military, we need to call the FBI, like, get some bigger people on this, because there are, again, not only just high profile students in there, but it's also a mass amount. Like, we'll find out later that it's 92 total students that they are holding accountable, plus the headmaster is still in the building as well.
Yes.
And then also at this point, still teachers. So there's a lot of bodies in that school.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the sheriff has some big britches or something like that, but he's literally like, no, I will deal with this my way. And it's just him and like his 2 other partners that he has. Yeah. And basically his smart idea is, because, there's not just a bunch of like machine guns and turrets and stuff up on the roofs or anything, and they don't have grenade launchers or anything like that, right, or the whole building wired. It's fine. Everything's fine. So the the sheriff is going to drive up to the school slowly, basically say, I'm alone, I have no weapons in the car, just, like, let's talk about this like adults or whatever, because, like, of course they want to do that. They just want to talk like adults.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing this. And basically, as he's slowly going up, Luis is just like, all right, just blow him up, basically. And then they start firing at the police car, and you can see the 2 other guys and the sheriff kind of crawling out of the car and running for their lives. And that car is like completely shattered just from those bullets. But then, oh no, they're not done, right? They have to take out their RPG and just absolutely blow up that car. And now it's just like dust.
Yes. Yeah. And, they're like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work.
Right. We're right about the FBI.
Yeah. Especially when you see like the security guy has been shot in cold blood. Mm-hmm. That should be a sign to maybe not, you see guys on the roof. I just don't know. I guess it was just for film effect or to make him look stupid, which they succeeded, because come on, bro. So of course after that, here comes the FBI, and they bring the military with them. And so Luis has taken over the headmaster's office, and he is receiving a transmission from one of the radios, and it's a series of numbers. So he's writing them down. He's writing like 17, 20, and they're speaking it in Spanish. Yeah. Right. And it's a message from his father. That's how they're communicating without, because obviously the FBI is probably listening in. And Jack says, how's your dad doing? He says, oh, he's doing fine, but he's ready to get out of prison. So, Luis is like, I gotta act fast, get my dad out of prison. And so this is what he's working on. And so Jack is setting up the detonator and all the stuff in the headmaster's office that's attached to all the wires around the building, up and down the building. I mean, there's wires everywhere. And so he's sitting there and he's, putting all the wires into the one detonator. And he also made a remote control. It looks like a garage door opener from like 1990, which it probably is.
Yeah. It's like the button from Operation.
Yeah.
Like if you like bzz, and it's just like the little red button on his nose. That's what it looks like.
And he like, it's like this big, so it's like as big as this. And he just tapes it with like electrical tape or something onto his arm. Dude, he didn't like, I guess, okay, that doesn't itch. Like, I would be itchy. I don't know. Does he not care? I feel like if, okay, that's cool.
Just me? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jack tells him, he's like, is it all hooked up? He's like, yep. He's like, so if you push that button, this whole place explodes. So, and he's like, great, that's exactly what I wanted. So they come out into the lunchroom, and now they're going to tell everyone kind of what's going on. Not really. They're just saying, like, here's some rules. We're going to have some rules. This is what's going to happen. If you try to leave, you will be shot. We will do a head count in the morning and every hour on the hour. If 1 is missing, 5 will be shot. If 2 are missing, 10 will be shot, and so on. He says, do you see all these wires everywhere? Do not touch the wires. If you try to touch the wires or cut the wires or move the wires or detach the wires, this whole place will blow up. It's wired to do so. And he says, if this all goes well, then we'll start letting you guys out into the quad. So, but every hour on the hour, your ass is back in this cafeteria and we're going to do a count. And then you can go back out in the quad. So those are the rules. And they start, I guess, divvying up the boys into the rooms.
Yeah, they start pushing forward now because this is the end of day 1 of the takeover. So the boys are now just kind of in one big row, and basically there's a guy in the front of the line, and he's just counting like 7 guys and then close the door and then kind of pushes them to the next room. And again, in these rooms, they are not, like, these are dorms made for 2 people. So they're pushing 7 boys in each of these rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily and I say lucky very loosely because that's a situation that's obviously not a very lucky situation, but for the main 5 friends that we've been talking about this whole time, they do end up staying together. And they end up staying with 2 freshmen that they actually end up in the 2 freshmen's room. So I don't know how those freshmen, like, it was like a perfect count, but those we will meet, I keep wanting to say Yogurt, but his name is Derek. But they call him Yogurt throughout like the whole film.
Yes.
Because that's what he's known
his
for.
Nickname.
Of course, one time he probably ate yogurt, and then now that's his nickname forever.
Yeah.
And then I never know his name.
I don't remember his name either. I
know in the very beginning, Derek was like, because they kept calling him Yogurt, and he's like, yeah, this is me, Derek, and then like, I don't know, like Joseph's room or something like that. I don't know what it is. It's not that, but
we'll just refer to him as Derek's roommate. So
he's not really very important anyway.
No.
And basically, what is the worst case scenario that's going on? Well, of course, there's just 5 strange boys in your room and they're just touching everything. And Joey and Billy are kind of walking around, and Billy, of course, is like messing with a plane that Yogurt has built. And he's like, oh, so you know a lot about this stuff, like more mechanical stuff. And of course, Yogurt's like, yes, now please stop touching my stuff. And Joey is just not having the situation. You can tell he is not great with authority. Clearly, that's why he's at this Regis school for boys. And Joey opens the door and is just like kind of looking around. And the guard that's in the hallway is like, you better close that door. But he says it in Spanish, and Ricardo's like, he's telling you to close the door.
It's like, shut the door, shut the door.
Yes, literally. So they kind of understand that they really mean business.
Yeah, Billy notices that the military/FBI have searchlights going on, and they're like, occasionally it flashes in their room and all that kind of stuff. Joey's really restless, and he's like, let's get these guys. We'll get that one guard into the room. We'll take him over. We'll get his machine gun. We'll jump him. And Billy and the rest are like, well, what are you going to do with one machine gun?
Yeah.
They have explosives.
Like, and then what? Like, what the hell is wrong with the rest of your plan?
Yeah.
Like, there is no other plan. You're going to get us killed.
Yeah. And Joey's like, let's go. And everyone's like, no, dude, one machine gun is not going to do anything against a whole bunch of these guys with like, they've got like the standing guns that shoot the huge bullets. They've got grenade launchers. They've got, everything's wired to explode. So literally you just have to, And I feel that Joey knows that he's pretty much untouchable. He feels that way, I think. That's not a good way to go about it. But The other boys are like, no, we're all going to get killed. We got to come up with something. There's definitely something better to come up with. Well, let's try this instead. Let's see if we can gather all the information, as much information on these guys as we can, like locations of the guards, how many guards they are, what they look like, where they're located, what kind of explosives, at least to give the FBI and the military a chance. Yeah. So they're like, okay, like that's better. All the other guys are like, yeah, we can do that. No problem. Joey's of course like,
that sounds safer.
Yes. Yeah. So the FBI finally does get a hold of Luis, and Luis is basically telling them, I want my father released. That is the main purpose. His father must be released unharmed, of course, to him by a certain date. I think it's like 2 days they've got or something like that till 5 p.m. And then there's a whole nother list of demands, and they must all be followed exactly. No exceptions, no substitutions, as is. And he says that he's going to release the faculty, with the rest of his demands. So he does do that. He does release the faculty who is carrying the body of one of the chemistry teachers who did try to push one of the guards during the initial shooting in the cafeteria. One of the kids ran to call 911. And the terrorist guy shot at him, didn't hit him. And then the teacher tried to bump him out of the way. And then, of course, Luis just comes and he just shoots the guy in the head. Like, he's just like, you're done. Bye.
Relentless.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't hurt the kid, though, thank goodness. Put him back because he could be worth something. Yeah. So they're carrying the body of this poor man. And, of course, the dean is like, that's Mr. Johnson, the chemistry teacher. He knows all these people, so he's like really sad about it.
You can definitely tell that the dean really cares about his job. Like, he loves it, and he loves all the people that he works with. So this is devastating for him. We cut to the outside of the school, and we can see all the people gathering outside. So not only are the like worried parents and peers and stuff like that, but also the annoying newscasters and like the people that are trying to interview people on the side of the street. Yeah. Oh, you're involved in this and blah, blah, blah. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, literally nobody cares. There are people literally being held for ransom, and this is what you're caring about right now. And while they are showing this, the boys are out on the quad. Well, everybody's out on the quad, and the boys start kind of collect information. And they do this by talking to different peers. So they go, like, talking to different boys in the quad, as well as, like, some information that they gather from themselves. And then also Joey is an amazing artist. He is like sketching the faces of some of the guards that they have been encountered with. And then we cut to our FBI meeting.
Yep, with the parents. So the FBI decides to have a meeting with the parents. And the one FBI guy tells the dean, do you realize that the head of the New Jersey Mafia is in this room right now? And the dean goes, yes, I'm well aware. And he's like, you let his kid come to your school? And he's like, it's not the kid's fault who his father is. Yeah, it's not his fault. He can't choose his dad. So we get a little, parents are like, just give them the demand, just give them what they want. We want our kids back. And of course, FBI, we don't go with terrorists. We don't, work with the terrorists. We never give in to their demands, blah, 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 blah. And then one of the moms stands up and she goes, we're not rich. My son is there on a scholarship. And why should my son suffer alongside the rich kids? So she's pissed off about that. Like, hey, Deborah, why don't we just like wait and try to save all the kids? And I feel like, they're not going to sit there and go through the files and be like, your parents make 30 grand a year. You can get out. Your dad makes $84 million a year. You have to stay.
Yeah. And of course, like some of the other idiots in this room, of course, are like, my baby is more important than yours. And is like, well, we're going to go to the White House and we're going to go to the press and blah, 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 blah. And the head of the FBI is like, don't do that, you actual idiots. Like, stop saying that you're going to be doing all these things because you're going to make the situation worse. And you're actually just going to end up having your kids being killed if you're going to act like idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously the terrorists, they need as many people as possible, and especially having kids, it's way more like scarier. If they just had a whole bunch of adults, it'd be a little bit different, I think. But when it's people's children and people are seeing this on the news as children are being held, it's way more like there's more pressure on the FBI, the government, all that to get this taken care of. Luis was very, very clear that if they attacked the school, he would continue shooting. He would keep shooting kids until they stopped. He would just shoot one, shoot another one, keep shooting another until they stopped. So he's very clear on that. So that's basically the FBI guy telling, we're not going to get the government involved. Like, the White House is not getting involved because they're going to just do it for probably clout, or something like that. It's probably a re-election year or something like that bullshit. We don't need any of that crap. We need to come up with a plan and, figure this out. So, yeah. And then it cuts back to the boys again. Some of the kids bring the trays up to the terrace on the roof. Billy grabs the tray and he's like, oh, I'm going to take it. And the kid's like, what? And he's like, don't worry.
By the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And he takes it up the stairs, and before he does, he opens the sandwiches and hocks the biggest loogie in each sandwich. I mean, he gets the nose in there.
All the flesh.
Oh yeah.
Like he's getting in there and he's snorting and stuff, and it's nasty.
So he brings that up to the the guys, and of course they're like, the guns are at him. He's like, I'm just bringing you lunch, psychos. Yeah. Like, here's your lunch. Yeah, he's like, he sees them eating the sandwich. He's like, bon appetit.
Yep, exactly.
And of course he's looking kind of like at what kind of guns they have, what ammo's there, all that kind of stuff.
How
so
many.
he's collecting the information.
Inventory. Yeah, so when Billy comes back from that, he meets all of the boys in the quad, because they were good and they're all accounted for, so they get to be released in the quad. And we see people throwing frisbees. We see, guys having, I guess, as good of a time as you can, because they're probably just taking advantage of not being held up in the school the whole time. And this is again when we see Joey is continuing to draw the faces of the different guards, and then also we're still getting feedback from how many guns do they have, kind of where all of the artillery and stuff is located, all of this stuff. And there's a pamphlet of the school, and what they're doing is they're just circling all the locations of where they would find guards, also marking some safe spots and things like that in the school.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we cut to the motel, and this is where we first see Albert Trotta, who is Joey's dad. And it's I think it's just another mafia guys meeting him, another high up guy. And he just tells him he wants his son released. He says, this Enrique Kelly guy, we've done some business with him before. I want my son released. The guy's like, of course. He says, Albert Trotta says to the guy, my son hates me, and he's like, no, the kids are like that. They grow out of it. And he's like, no, my son really hates me. It's not a phase. He's like, but I love that kid and I want him out of there. So, the guy's like, of course. Let me see what I can do. No problem. So he leaves. And then we cut back to the school where Billy is learning about microchips from Yogurt/Derek.
Yogurt. I'm going to just keep calling him Yogurt because that's pretty much what he's called throughout the
He reminds me of Spaceballs every time I say yogurt.
So Billy, again, he can't keep still, and he's really focused on this idea of kind of informing the FBI and outsiders, all of these things, what's the next plan, right? Mm-hmm. Besides telling them what do they have, where are they located, and kind of what the military would need to follow up with that. But Billy is just kind of messing around, and he's looking at the plane again, and he's kind of talking to Derek or Yogurt about microchips. And he's basically just saying, okay, so the remote control on Luis's wrist, is that something that, could that be something that actually blows up the school? And Derek, unfortunately, is like, yes, it can. And it's all about, the chip, right? It's kind of the chip is, almost like the motherboard. It kind of runs the whole thing. It's programmed for it. And Derek's kind of, looking at the plane, and he's just like, okay, so the microchip. If we took this microchip out of the plane, and we switched it with the box on Luis's wrist with that microchip, would that just control the plane? And Derek's like, well, I mean, theoretically, yes, but there's absolutely no chance in hell that we would ever be close enough to switch out that chip or without getting in trouble. So basically he's like, you're actually crazy, but good thought though, but also absolutely not will we ever be doing that. So Yeah.
And Derek says, however, the reverse is also true. If you take the receiver chip out and switch it with the actual detonator box that has all the wires attached to it that are sitting on the desk, that theoretically would work as well. So you would just have to take the plane and open up the box and switch the two, which would be much easier than trying to knock Luis out, which he would push that button. There's no way these kids are knocking this guy out. And yeah, so he's like, so that could happen. So Billy's like, okay, all right, hey. So it's the next day. The boys are back in the quad. Derek brings out his plane, and Billy is planning on running all this info to the FBI. So they've got this plan now because they count the guys every hour on the hour, and they'll start shooting 5 people if one's missing. Billy's got 45 minutes. So they have a set of distractions that they're going to try to help Billy get to where he needs to be. So
yeah. Ricardo and the other boys are kind of kicking his soccer ball around, has his plane, and basically they have just set up a bunch of diversions because they have the guys up on the rooftop constantly on the lookout. They have the little binoculars and everything so they can seal the perimeter, and then also just the guards walking around on the quad and everything. So they want to make sure everything is not suspicious at all, right, in order to get through this plan very safely, because if they get caught, they know that they're going to die. So Ricardo is kicking around the ball, and basically as they're kicking around the ball, Joey is counting to Billy, and Billy's about to break a window to get into the school to kind of escape onto the outside perimeter. So as like Billy's waiting for the signal, Joey's counting, and then as soon as he counts to like go or whatever 5, then Ricardo kicks the soccer ball and breaks a window at the top. So then as soon as that window's breaking, then Billy's also breaking the window as well. So there isn't any raised suspicion. And then he kind of is just like going through the school and then gets to the basement where the boys were before. And then he opens the window, leaves the towel in the window as he's leaving. So then the window can be open or propped open for him when he comes back. And he is sprinting to the trees on the outside of the perimeter. But as he gets to the trees, there is no other covering for him to get through from the, there's like a drain that he has to go through, basically. And so he's waiting for the next diversion, which is when Derek is flying his plane above. And when he flies the plane, the guards are like, pretty color, I love it. Then Billy sees that they're distracted and then can sprint off into the sewer drain, and they
take the plane. Yeah. So Luis comes down and goes, take that. It's either Jack or Luis, I forget which one. It says, get that, bring it to me, take it from him. So the plane gets taken into the office, which is great. Yeah, so which is the point of that. And that's when Billy makes it to the drainage ditch thing, and he cuts the wires that are holding it closed. It's all water, so he like goes up against the wall to try not to get wet, like when you're on a wall and you can climb up a wall. He's kind of like that on the thing. All 4 limbs, just like that, and gets through. And as soon as he gets through, he's stopped by the military. They're all like hiding in their little nets and gear and stuff, so you can't see him. And he puts his hands up, and then they take his information. He goes, great, my name is William Tupper, I'm from the school, we're doing great, here's a list of everybody, their locations, everything. Okay, gotta go. And they're like, no. And they, of course, assholes, grab him. He's like, no, I have to go, like I have a time limit here. And they grab him and they bring him back to base. And this is when they call the FBI agent, and he goes to the dean. Do you know somebody by the name of Tepper or Billy? I think he says Billy or William or something. And then the dean goes, Tepper? Yeah, I know him. And they bring him to where Billy is. And, Billy's like, sir, I got to get back. They're going to start shooting students. I can't lie to you. Like, I'm telling you the truth. And he's like, I believe you. He's like, let this kid go. Of course, they're like, no, we have to debrief him and blah, 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 blah. And so, of course, Billy takes matters into his own hands.
Their cars.
Hits one of the tents and it collapses on everyone. And he runs to one of the Jeeps and he steals the Jeep. And then he takes that he like makes it go up the hill past the drain, but he's out of it. He's out of the car. So they're following the car. He's by the drainage. The car slowly comes back down because nobody's in it, and they're like, crap. But Billy runs and he falls. So he is soaking wet. Yeah. And it's like, shit, how am I going to explain that? I don't know.
And of course, because in this scenario, the FBI were complete jerks and not listening to him and not letting him go when he needed to be there. The boys are, of course, looking around and they're like, oh my God, he has literally 1 minute to get here. Like, this is bad. Before head count. And there is not a Billy in sight. So the boys are kind of looking around in the quad and they're getting called back into the cafeteria because it is time for head count. And they are literally doing everything that they possibly can. They're kind of just like loitering outside and they're just getting pushed in line. I think even Giles the Third like moves in line again, so then they can count like a 90-second person. But basically, Jack is going around and he's counting 91. And when he's like 91 again to Luis is like, "You need to count again." So then Jack goes back and counts again.
Can I just say, why would Giles go back in line? There is one black student in this entire school, and it is him. Right. And he's the one that tries to double back. And of course, Jack's like, get back in line. I've already counted you. Just use some random white kid. I mean, it's like,
literally.
Where's
Gilbert's roommate that we literally never know the name of?
Literally anybody. Not the smartest move there. You know, like, but I just noticed, I was like, come on, of all the people that are there, I mean, like him and Ricardo maybe should just sit this one out, because they're like, there's not very many non-white students. I mean, it's not.
I mean, the privilege is
crazy. It is. Yeah. So, but still getting into that 91, and Billy is running, and he's stuck at that one spot again behind the bushes, and he needs to get past the guards, but of course they're looking. But here comes, the military with 2 of their helicopters, distracts enough for Billy to get past. Again, they're still counting. They count to 91 again, and Luis starts picking 5 people. He picks the headmaster. He does pick Ricardo, skips Joey, very clearly looks at Joey and skips him, and then picks 2 other randoms.
Yeah, I think Yogurt's thrown in there, I think.
Maybe. And then there's like
another young blonde kid.
And then there's like a really tiny student. Like he's so I was like,
adorable.
Like, come on, dude. Yeah. And so they're getting ready to kill them because one's missing. And as Billy comes through, he grabs the towel that he had in the window, takes off all his clothes, and he puts it around his waist, and he's running, taking his socks off and everything like that. And when they're almost ready to shoot the 5 people, you hear, I'm here, I'm sorry. And he comes running, and he's like, I was in the shower, I didn't hear the bell, I'm so sorry. And, he goes by Jack and Luis, and Jack touches him, he's like, he's soaking wet, and he's like, okay. And he's like, I'm so sorry, I was in the shower, I didn't hear, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. And Luis is like, okay, come with me, and he tells everybody else to get back in line, so everybody's saved. I love that headmaster, so I don't want nothing to happen to him.
He's the best.
It's so sweet. He's still trying to have, when they're in the quad, he's still trying to have school lessons. Like, come on.
He's like, all right, now I want to see all the sophomores in the quad.
I'm like, we're literally being held hostage by terrorists. I'm not learning about English.
No offense, I'm not reading the Anne of Green Gables right now.
No.
But thanks though.
So Luis brings Billy to his office, which is the headmaster's office, and Billy notices that the plane is there, as well as where the detonator box is. And, Luis is, takes his head and slams it down onto the desk. And then he takes out, it's like they made, I don't know if they still make them. It looks like a pen, but you can pull it out. It's like a pointer. You pulled it out and it's made of metal. It looks like an antenna. And he's beating him with it. Oh, he's basically
definitely making an example of him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so that's what happens to Billy, but luckily nobody gets shot. He's just
still better than having 5 people killed. So.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And now at this case scenario, we kind of cut back to the FBI, and they are being told that they need to make a deal. And the military obviously strongly disagrees with this. They think that we should keep following Billy's plan because, again, they've scoped out pretty much everything, and they're just kind of working on a better way to approach the situation to keep everybody safe. And the dean is also all in on this. They're basically like, can you even trust this kid? Because obviously, like, he's at this, like, reject school, you know, and he's been through how many schools this whole time. And the dean is basically just, like, standing up for him, saying, like, you know, I do trust this kid. I think in this scenario that he is.
He's a leader.
He's a leader, exactly.
Tells him he's a leader,
he's doing exactly what he believes is right, and I agree with him.
Yep. And even the military guy is like, I don't want to tell like a kid to go after terrorists, but his plan is pretty good.
Pretty
like
genius.
It could definitely work. Like it could. So
it's definitely feasible.
Yeah.
And of course the FBI are like, well, we're paid to make a deal and blah blah blah. Like we are like the best case scenario that we have for the FBI is that we are always trying to make the deal over risking people's lives basically. And the FBI is calling Luis, and Luis picks up and he says like, oh, okay, great, that it's great that you're ready to make a deal. However, I am not budging on any of my demands. So until you can meet all of my demands, we are not having this, and I will give you until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to just start shooting people, basically. And I'm going to start killing these hostages.
Yeah, so they bought a little bit of time. We go into prison, and we see Enrique Kelly, Luis's dad. He's being visited by I'm just going to call him the mafia messenger guy, because he doesn't have a name. He doesn't have a name.
No name.
And he tells him that Albert Trotta would like his son Joey released, and that Albert would be a great person to owe a favor to them. So, of course, Enrique's like, he's like, you know, guy's like, we've done business before. It's been good, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And Enrique tells him to get him something to write on. So he writes down a series of numbers and he says, get this message to my son. And then it cuts to Luis in the headmaster's room getting a radio transmission. The FBI is listening, and it's a series of numbers again. And, you know, the FBI is like, it's numbers, Spanish. Okay. And, you know, so Luis is like, okay. He tells the headmaster, go get Joey Trotta, bring him to my office. And he does, you know, and he tells Joey, like, come with me. And he's like, what's going on? And he's like, I don't think they mean you any harm. Like, you should be fine. So he comes with him, and Luis tells Joey, we're letting you go. And Joey's like, why? And he says, because we respect your father. And Joey is not happy. Doesn't want to leave his friends. He doesn't think it's fair that he gets to get out of there because of who his father is. And he's like, fuck my father and fuck you. And he like, yeah, the guys have to literally pull him out of this office, and he's like fighting to the very, you know, and then they finally get him outside. Do you want to go through this part, or do you want me to do this part? You get all the...
I just get all of the great parts.
I know.
Of this film. So, yeah, it's such a hard scene. And the problem is I'm a crier already. I literally cry during the movie Cars. So, like, imagine how this scene was for me. So...
And it's Will Wheaton.
I love Will Wheaton. The whole reason I watch Big Bang Theory is just to see his little cameos every now and then with his little podcast. It's so cute. I love him. And they're dragging Joey outside, and of course, Joey is, again, like what we were talking about before, like, he's a pretty aggressive, like, well, why can't we just do this person? Like, he's definitely like a fight or flight. Like, he's picking fight 9 out of 10 times. Like, he's very strong-minded. And he's hitting one of the guards, and he takes the machine gun from them, and he's pointing it at the guard on the outside because he's at the opening of the school, and the guard is just like one of the guards in the quad. And Joey starts, like, shooting, but he is frail little guy. He's terrible. Guy.
Yeah.
So he literally is like, cannot keep control of this gun. So he's not hitting anything. He might be hitting the leaf off of a tree, and he's like shooting at the sky basically. And the guard does not take kindly to that, and he shoots Joey down, and he like shoots him a lot. So there's no chance of survival. So Joey unfortunately is killed on the stairs. And of course, this is when all of the boys are outside on the quad as well. So not only is Joey dead on the stairs, but Billy and Giles and Snuffy and all of them are just watching him get gunned down by this guy.
Yeah, and Billy's taking it the hardest. He's like trying to, like, he's yelling things and trying to get to him, and Hank is holding him down, holding his mouth, like, don't piss these guys off. They're already trigger happy as it is. Yeah, and Billy's just, he's happy because Joey's his best friend. That's his best friend. That was his roommate.
Yeah, the best friends.
Yeah. And so he finally gets to run to Joey's body, and he's like holding him, and he's really upset, and he's crying.
Yeah, closes his eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Like, he just,
Yeah.
So devastated.
And Luis comes out and he's like, holy freaking
Yeah,
shit.
this is not good.
He's like, this is really bad. Like, oh my God, of all the people to kill, this is not the person to kill. Like, this is not the person to mess with. Like, even my dad isn't this powerful. Like,
right.
Shoot, we just killed like this guy's kid and he just asked us for a simple favor and we killed his freaking kid. So Luis allows the dean and 2 medics to come get Joey's body, and Luis is very adamant at telling the dean, please let them know this was an accident. We didn't mean to shoot him. We meant no harm. Yeah, tell them we meant no harm to the boy. And that I was actually releasing him. He suddenly attacked my men and they were forced to shoot him. Tell them it was an accident. Tell them I'm sorry. Tell them he keeps saying accident. It's an accident. Yeah. It's an accident. Tell them, please. Yes, it's an accident. Yeah, and that's not going to fly with Joey's father. So good luck, buddy.
Good luck. Good luck, Charlie.
Yeah, and the dean tells Luis, he says that they're going to hunt you down and kill you. And he replies, you Americans always say that, but you never do it.
Yeah, that's true. And cut to what I can't wait for, because of course, like, Joey's father's pissed. Albert, again, he's the head, and he's so upset about his son. Again, he knows that their relationship wasn't always the greatest, but of course he's still a father. And the messenger that has been in each of the scenes with Albert this whole time is just sitting there consoling him and basically saying, like, well, they did tell us that it was an accident. And Albert's like, fuck no, it was not an accident. There's absolutely no way it is an accident. You know why? Because my son, he is a child. He is literally a child, right? He's a baby.
Yeah.
And these people are grown-ups. They know what they're doing. Like, there is no such thing as an accident because they know damn well what they were doing.
Yeah. And he says, and I quote, these people are grown-ups, not like my son. It's time they found out there is no such thing as an accident.
Love that.
Hashtag justice for Joey.
Yeah, oh, justice for Joey.
Justice for Joey.
And his little feather earring. I can't.
I know.
The little cross earring. He's so cute.
Yep. So how do we get justice for Joey, Ireland?
Oh gosh. So with this, the trade-off for this is there's like some chaos going into the prison when we cut to see Enrique's father, because when we first came into the scene, they were releasing Luis's father from prison, or moving him, right? Because that's kind of one of the deals with the FBI. There had to be something happening where they were causing a commotion, like one of the other inmates was doing something. So there was like kind of a rally going on, and the guards are busy off doing something else. And while these guards are distracted, one of the other inmates that was just kind of hiding in a cell comes up, approaches Enrique, slits his throat, throws his body off of the balcony. And that's it of Luis's father.
Dead.
He's dead. Dead body.
Justice for Joey.
Literally, yes. Justice for Joey, seriously.
Fuck you, dude. Justice for Joey.
There is no coming back from that, but they also know, like, the FBI knows that Enrique is dead, but they do not want Luis to know that Enrique is dead, so they're cutting all of the lines, all the contact lines, so like the phone line and stuff like that.
The power.
To make sure that they are not receiving that information at all, because they know that he's probably just going to start killing if they know.
He's just going to blow up the whole school because he's got nothing to live for, so he'll just blow everything up.
Exactly.
He'll take everybody with him, including himself.
This whole thing for?
Yeah. So they're definitely worried about that, jamming the radios, And Luis is like, of course they have the line to the FBI, but that's it. Enrique's like, what's going on? And the FBI guy's like, oh, there's a power outage, wide power outage, whatever, talks out of his ass. And he's like, well, it better be fixed within the hour or something like that. And, or I'm gonna start killing people. Douche. So this is when they decide that they're gonna attack. So they signal Billy with the spotlight, and at this time Billy is like just devastated. He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't want to do anything. It's just gonna get us killed because of course Joey's dead, and he's just like kind of in the corner crying, and he's like, no, what good will it do? It's just gonna get you all killed. I'm just gonna get you all killed, blah 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 blah. So as they're signaling the spotlight, Hank's like, hey, we got to signal back. And everybody else decides, hey, we're doing this. It's happening. And they signal back with the mirror so they know that they can go ahead and proceed, that the boys will do their job, the military will do their job, and they can start, plan A or whatever. Justice for Joey. That's what we're going to call it.
Justice for Joey.
Joey, yes. And and Billy wasn't really on board with it, but then he kind of thought about it like, we're gonna do it for Joey. So he's in.
And I love when, I think it was Giles that said it too. Like, he was like, basically Joey, or I'm sorry, not Joey. Billy was just like, don't even say his name. Like, what are we even doing this for? And Giles is like, you know damn well who we're doing this for. And of course, hashtag justice for Joey.
Yep.
And so now they get to start the plan, and it starts in the cafeteria, and Billy is going around conspiring with each of the tables, saying like, okay, well, this person, like, your shift to go to the bathroom is in like 5 minutes. So when the two boys come out, you go in. And then he's just kind of spreading that around throughout the whole cafeteria. And Billy then goes into the bathroom with Derek and then Derek's friend. We never know.
The roommate guy, yeah.
So basically, Billy and Derek's plan is to go in through the vents of the bathroom, go to the headmaster's office where Luis is stationed, and then Bradbury's gonna create a diversion in the cafeteria, which we'll talk about in a second, and then they'll be able to switch the chips from the plane to the detonator. So basically, Billy is going to the friend, and he turns the water on. He said, if there's any problems when we come back, turn the water off and we will not come out in the vent. And Derek's like, do you even know how to get to the headmaster's office? Like, where is this even going to lead us to? And Billy's like, girl, how do you think I got the furniture in the quad? Be so for real. Like, this is not my first rodeo.
Correct.
So Billy is leading Derek to the headmaster's office, and they are waiting to make sure that Luis is clear out of the office. And Luis is clear out of the office because what is going on with our bestie Snuffy?
So Snuffy pretends that he's having a very, very severe asthma attack. And he's like, I can't breathe. And I think when they were going around telling the kids at the tables, like the bathroom stuff, I think they were telling them, like, react crazy to this. Like, he really, like, react like this happens and he's gonna die. So it creates a very big diversion. And everybody's, like, surrounding. He's like, headmaster's like, oh my god, this boy is very sick. And Jack comes to one of the other guards comes and gets Luis and says one of the kids is like dying basically. So Luis comes. This is when Derek and Billy have their few minutes to go ahead and switch out the chips. So Billy pops down. He basically tells Derek, okay, he opens up the plane, he grabs the chip, and then Derek's like, yeah, it should just be the red chip. And he opens up the detonator, and he's like, there's no red chip, there's just a blue chip, because of course there is. And he's like, well, it should be the same, just do that. And, it's like suspense. And you see Luis is by Snuffy, and he's standing there so he can see his remote control. And as Billy grabs the blue chip, we see the light go off really quickly. And then when this happens, because Snuffy was starting to get better, he's like, oh, I'm feeling a little better. Then he's like, he's like really dying now. Yeah, he's like really dying because now he really has to. Jack has gone into the office, and after Billy switched, so Billy does switch the chips, gets it all. He hears someone coming, so he puts like the top on and then screws the plane top on, and he hides under the desk. And Jack comes in, and of course he doesn't believe anybody, so he grabs Snuffy's folder because he wants to make sure he's not, lying. And when he leaves, that's when, Billy's like, get out of the way. And he, like, I don't know how he has the arm strength for this, but he jumps really high and he, like, pulls himself up from, like, straight. I was like, oh, that's impressive.
I love Sean Astin.
Yes.
So I was like, wow, what a dreamboat.
He does look really good in this movie. Yes, he looks really good. And once Snuffy sees that the light goes back on, that's when he starts like, okay, I feel better. Like the headmaster.
I feel much better.
Yeah, he like grabs his like inhaler and he does like a couple puffs. And Jack does open up and sees that he does have severe asthma. He's like, so he does have really bad asthma. It does happen a lot. And so they're like, okay. And then he's like, okay, I feel much better, much better. So then Luis and, Jack leave. Everything's good. Go back to his office. Everything's fine. And Billy and Derek start heading back, but they get a little visitor in the bathroom.
Yeah, so the little friend, Derek's roommate or friend or whatever, is still in the bathroom, and now a guard is coming into the bathroom, so the friend turns off the water. And not to make it any weird or anything like that, so the friend turns off the water because obviously that's signaling that there's a problem or somebody else is in the bathroom, and then the friend leaves. But of course the guard is like, okay, I don't think much of it, so he's just, taking his pee, and then he goes and he washes his hands, which I'm glad that he's very sanitary, but not great in this scenario because as he's turning on the water, Billy and Derek are reaching towards the end and about to go out of the vent for the bathroom. And Billy's like, wait, do you hear that? Like, do you hear water running? And Derek's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, okay, good, because then that means that's safe. Like, we could have been in serious trouble because if the water was turned off, then it would have been a bad situation. But little did they know that the guard was turning on the water. So the guard is literally watching Derek pop out of the vent and then kind of like holds him accountable. And then Billy comes out of the vent, and now this guard is pissed and is holding them both.
And luckily for Billy and Derek, as soon as the blonde roommate, Derek's roommate, had to go out of the bathroom, he went straight to Ricardo and told him what happened. So Ricardo heads towards the bathroom. And this is like, okay, he's heading towards, and then Billy and Derek are being like basically held with the machine gun. And Ricardo comes in and he goes after the guard. Billy goes after the guard. They knock him out. They get his machine gun. So now it reminds me of Die Hard, haha, or ho ho ho. Now I have a machine gun.
Yeah, and this is really like the peak of the plan. So this is when the military is going to come in hot and heavy and start securing the perimeter. And Billy goes in the kitchen, and one of the guards is following him that was securing the cafeteria. You know, Billy's on pots and pans duty, man. The grind never stops. So he puts his apron on, and he's just like, you know, acting like he's going to be cleaning these pots and pans. And the guard is like, what the hell is pots and pans? Basically, he's like, are you supposed to be in here? Like, and Billy's, of course, like, oh, I'm on pots and pans. And he's like, pots and pans? What the hell is that? And Billy's like, you know, pots and pans, like he's holding it up, and then the guard's like, oh, ha ha ha, pots and pans, and he turns around, and when he turns around, this is when Billy hits him off the side of the head, and knocks him out, and then takes his machine gun, and this is when the plan really starts to pick up.
Yep, and it's Henry and Ricardo take out the last guard that is in the cafeteria. So this is when they all say, you know, Billy comes out and goes, all right, everybody, let's go. They're gonna take him down to that basement that they were in the beginning with the mouthwash and when they called Jennifer, because according to the military, if Luis does blow everything up, since that's not connected to the building, and it's just a basement, like it's just an underground thing, people that are in there should be safe. So they want to get everybody under there so that they're safe. So literally everybody, headmaster, everybody heads down there. The only one left behind is Billy, because Billy has to close the door, which is in the floor, and then he puts like rolls the racks of like the kitchen stuff over it, and he's got a machine gun. And you know, Luis comes, he can't get anybody on the radio, so Luis comes into the lunchroom, and he's like ready to grab some hostages, and nobody's there. So he's kind of like, what the hell? You know, he's looking everywhere, and he goes into the kitchen, and Billy hides behind the door. It's one of those like double door, you know, that flings both ways, and Billy's hiding. And when Luis comes in, he like goes in, and he's like, and then he goes out. So you know he saw Billy. But when he goes out, Billy thinks he's okay. So he like moves, and then Luis pushes the door against him and gets the machine gun, kicks it away from him, and he takes Billy as a hostage because there's no other hostage to take. And the military is full on attacking now. They're coming through freaking windows, shooting the guys. I mean, it's full on, like it's coming down.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going down. They're all yelling timber, like there's a lot happening. And cut to the basement where again all the boys are kind of held for safety, and the headmaster is shaken up. He's like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on. And the boys are passing him like a shot of the mouthwash that Billy made with the vodka. So the headmaster's taking a sip, and he's like, whoo, and then takes another one because he needs it. Like
they pour him another one.
This is a specific situation. Honestly, love this headmaster too.
Yes,
he's amazing. And we see the dean kind of going in to the Luis's office, because before the approach, he was going with some of the military men, and then those military men got seriously injured. So he was helping one of the men whose leg like wasn't as badly injured as the others.
The other guys were killed. Yeah.
Him against the wall, and then the military officer was like, "Here, take my gun if you're going to go in the office." So the dean has his little handgun, and he's going into the office, and we see Luis, like, he's holding Billy, like, by the neck, like he is meaning business, and he basically is like, well, I have nothing else to live for. So he presses the remote control because he sees that everybody's kind of entering the building. So he presses it, and then what do we see?
We hear bzzz, and it's the plane. Just like floats up to the ceiling, and it drops down, and Luis has got, Billy really close. And then he turns Billy around, and Billy goes, I'm sorry. And then Luis just goes, oh!
It's a serious situation, but it's just funny. Like, it's comical the way that it was set up.
I mean, watching it when I was younger, I still had the same reaction. I just started laughing for no reason. Like, I know it's a serious situation, but just the way he's like,
yeah. Like he's just like, one more bad thing happens, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Right. And he lost his shit. And So here comes the military is banging on the door. They're trying to get into the office. They finally get through. So of course he's got Billy, and he's got the gun to Billy's head. And then the dean comes through the window, crashes through the window. He's all badass. And Luis turns around, points his gun at the dean, who shoots Luis in the chest somewhere. It doesn't kill him right away. And he gets. Then we just see a shot from behind. This is so gross. His head like blows up like this, and you could see that the bullet came out from the back, and it just is.
And the blood is like gushing.
Yeah, and it's super weird. And because he got shot, the gun in his hand that was pointed at the dean shoots the dean, and he gets shot like in the shoulder somewhere over here. So he's not like gravely injured. And then, Billy's okay, he falls to the floor. They come in and they secure the military secures the everything. It like cuts to Billy and the dean kind of getting patched up and everything like that. And Billy apologizes for being such an asshole to him, and he's like, sorry for being such an asshole to you now that you've saved my life and everything.
Yeah, he's like, now that you risked your life for it and everything.
Yes, yeah, you literally saved my life. And the dean said, that's okay, I never took it personally. Congratulations, you came through. And then Billy says, does that mean I'm off pots and pans? And the dean says, don't think you're getting off that easily. And they both laugh, which I thought was...
Yeah, but he's still probably pissed that he's on pots and pans, but happy to do it, though. Happy to do it. And, of course, like, we're seeing the outside, like, in the front of the school, outside the gates, and the four boys are out there, and they're like, oh my god, or 3 boys, did you see Billy? Has anybody seen Billy? And then they see an ambulance, and they're like, oh my god, is Billy in there? And all of these things, and... then we just see Billy sprinting from the gates, and he's just like, oh my gosh, and they're all hugging, and they're all so sweet, and they're reuniting.
Yes, and that is the end. That is Toy Soldiers in a nutshell, I guess. I do have some fun facts. There wasn't really a lot for this one. There are a lot of like famous people in it for the 80s and 90s famous people. I mean, except for Sean Astin, he's stayed pretty relevant every like 10 years because he was in Stranger Things. He was Bob.
I know.
Another character I love so
I don't want to spoil anything, but rip Bob. That's actually
Bob. That's like season 2. Come on. If you
that's actually so real. What are they on season 6?
They're 5. Yeah, 5's coming out. Yeah, if you haven't seen season 2 from like 8 years ago, because it takes forever to make the damn seasons.
I know. I was like, maybe I was in middle school when that it happened. I don't even know. That's terrible.
All right, so budget was $10 million for this one. And opening for US and Canada, it made $4,182,000. And wait, no, $4,182,300 opening weekend for US and Canada. Gross worldwide and US and Canada are the same. It was $15,073,942. So it did make some money. It got like a 1 out of 4 stars from like Roger Ebert, and he was like, this sucks. It got a lot of mixed reviews. Some people loved it and some people hated it. So yeah, it was kind of like a Andrew Divoff, that's Luis, the bad guy. He says that his role of Luis Kelly is his favorite. That was his favorite role to play. Interesting. He was a really good villain. He was very calculated and very ruthless. Like there was no pity in his eyes. Like
had some animalistic behavior for sure.
Of course, Keith Coogan, who was Snuffy, aka Jonathan. He was also in Adventures in Babysitting. He's that guy for that. Let's see. Of course, Sean Astin. We've seen him many of times. He was in Goonies. He was Sam in Lord of the Rings trilogy. Bob in Stranger Things, of course, among a whole bunch of other things. But those were like the main ones that I figured. Sean Astin is the stepson of John Astin, who played Gomez in the original Addams Family TV show.
God.
And Keith Coogan is the grandson of Jackie Coogan, who played Uncle Fester in that same show.
Love that.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm reading through all this, and I'm like, this is dumb. And then the official body count for the movie, that was one of the interesting facts, was 18, in case you were wondering, Ireland. 18 people were killed. Because all the terrorists and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so there were 18 people.
And the poor security guard.
Yeah, security guard, and then the chemistry teacher, and then
Joey. In the Jeep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're going to name this episode Justice for Joey, by the way.
Yeah, #Justice for Joey. Oh, I love Will Wheaton.
I don't think we've decided on what show we're going to do next, did we?
I don't think so.
What should we do?
I don't know. I don't know what's considered like a...
Yeah, we're going to have to get back to everybody on that one.
Yeah.
Once we decide, I'll release it in the show notes, the description of this particular episode. I will put what we're going to do, and then if it's like what platforms it's on, and if it's on YouTube TV or Roku or whatever, one of the 850 streaming services that everybody has to get.
I feel like I have to watch everything on Tubi.
Yes. Tubi has a lot of the great cult classics on it. I know, but at least it's free and you don't have to pay for it.
Right. I'm saying that like I'm not thankful that I can watch something for free and I don't have to pay for another service.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody for joining us for this episode. If you could, like and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Any likes helps. Any kind of likes or positive feedback really helps our show grow. I mean, I know we have like 5 listeners, if that. So
I know, but we love doing this. So,
yes, we do love doing this. So we're not
hopefully like what they listen to. So if they have any suggestions, like we're obviously open to covering different things. So.
Yes, I know we will eventually be doing Grease too, and there's a certain special someone that I'm going to ask to be a guest host for it, since that person seems to love Grease too so much. You know who you are.
No.
He's going to listen to this and go, oh shit.
Yeah, he's like,
uh-oh. So, yep. So, on behalf of myself and Ireland, I am Katie, the Gen X mom.
And I'm Ireland, the Gen Z daughter.
We want to thank you for joining us to this episode of Butterscotch Rewatch, and we will catch you guys next time.